There can be only one. Today's video is breaking down the strongest characters from each of the major races seen in the Dragon Ball franchise. Who's coming out on top? Let's get right into it. Sorry, Goku, even though you're the star of the show, you're not the strongest Saiyan. That honor belongs to the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, whose power is probably strong enough to open that one difficult jar of pickles that you haven't been able to twist off for a while. Yeah, the guy's that strong. The legendary Super Saiyan is a being of immense power who only appears once every 1,000 years. And that should be some sort of sign. Anytime in pop culture that something only appears once every 1,000 years, you just know that thing is going to be incredibly powerful. But yeah, Broly is the strongest Saiyan around, and it's not even close. Like, if you look at all the things Broly's able to do, there's just no denying that he is leagues ahead of any other Saiyan. He's shattered dimensions by going toe-to-toe with Gogeta, can retain his powered-up state for a lot longer than Goku generally can, and has even survived the Soul Punisher technique, which is supposed to disintegrate an enemy from the inside. Even with all of this, you could argue that Broly hasn't even reached his full potential yet, which is a terrifying thought. As the franchise has grown and evolved, one thing has become abundantly clear. Humans are pretty weak. And sure, to be fair, every human fighter we've seen in Dragon Ball could probably whip yours and mine's combined butt without so much as lifting a finger, but I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, the human fighters have been left in the dust as we're introduced to more and more alien species. But despite that, there's got to be a strongest human, right? And taking everything into consideration, that honor goes to Krillin. He's just proven time and time again that he can overcome a lot of challenges thrown at him, and even though he's weak compared to some other races, he's still a serious threat to almost anyone who gets in his way. Now, when the show first started, it seemed like Krillin was just as capable as becoming a fearsome warrior like anyone else. But then he started kicking the bucket with more and more frequency that it became somewhat comical. First by Tambourine, then Frieza, then Boo, then Android 17. Well, 17's kind of weird because, you know, GT and all that. Regardless, even though we all love Krillin and he's still the strongest human, that might not be worth celebrating. I'm dangerously close to coming up with my own name for Frieza's race because to go this long and not know their actual name just blows my mind. But it shouldn't be surprising that the strongest member of what we like to call Frieza's race is Frieza himself. Everything we've learned about Frieza and the rest of his people prove that the mysterious white lizard-looking creature is the strongest among his people and his family line. Early on in Dragon Ball's run, it's clear that Frieza was scary powerful, but it was hard to gauge just how strong the villain was. Then we learned that he'd been coasting a little bit on his strength without much training, which is scary to think about. Like, if he was already a threat to Goku without any actual practice, then what would happen if he set his mind to becoming stronger? Well, this of course was answered when Frieza was able to train long and hard enough to unlock his own type of transformation for his race, which he lovingly called Golden Frieza. So maybe this will someday change once we know more about his people, but for now, Frieza can rest comfortably at the top of his race's rankings. I wish I could just build a bunch of androids in my garage and have them be some of the most powerful beings in the universe, but somehow I don't think a broken blender wrapped in aluminum foil is really gonna cut it, you know? My little creation unfortunately wouldn't hold a candle to most of the androids in Dragon Ball, which have proven to be insanely strong over the years. And the absolute strongest android of them all? It's Super 17. Maybe not canonically, but still. The origins of this android are just nuts. Dr. Gero and Dr. Mew came up with the idea for this android while hanging out in the one place you probably don't want to hang out in, but the end result was terrifying. They created a duplicate of Android 17, and then had the brilliant idea to fuse him with the original Android 17 on Earth, creating Super 17. Now take all this with a big ol' grain of salt because it comes from Dragon Ball GT, but this Super 17 was able to fight Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Anything that can do that is definitely worth watching out for. But now I'm inspired to build my own android. Quick, to the garage! Even though his name is Piccolo Jr., I'm just gonna call him Piccolo because that's, well, what we all call him anyway, right? Anyways, Piccolo is the strongest Namekian, and we couldn't be prouder of the big green guy. Who would have thought when Goku punched a hole through King Piccolo's chest that the Egg King Piccolo would spit out would grow to become the world's strongest Namekian? Not me. And even though he started off young and cute, he would grow to be the towering and imposing green alien we've all come to love. And sure, I know Piccolo didn't just automatically start off as this super powerful warrior. but it's been a joy watching him train and become stronger over the years due to all the experience he's gone through. Like, Piccolo was always a good fighter, but maybe not the most respected from the people around him, and certainly he wasn't doing anything that made him stronger than any other Namekian. But then everything finally came together in the Frieza saga when he fused with Nail. This huge power-up granted him amazing strength, and he was able to match Frieza's power level, at least for that transformation, which is still a pretty impressive feat. So for that, Piccolo is the strongest Namekian. Come forth, divine dragon, and grant my wish, peas and carrots. Oh, don't mind me, I'm just summoning Super Shenron, aka the strongest and most powerful dragon of them all. Just looking at all the other dragons of the franchise, it's clear that Super Shenron is in a complete league of his own. He's a big boy, larger than a cluster of galaxies if you can imagine, and his powers vastly exceed that of any other creature. Like, you know how the Earth version of Shenron has limitations when it comes to wishes? Well, Super Shenron's got no limits, and he can grant you anything you desire. So if you really want that trumpet-playing golden retriever and aren't sure if Shenron can grant it, then it's better to go to Super Shenron instead. We don't know how strong Super Shenron actually is, but given his sheer size and magical abilities, I'm gonna go ahead and say that you do not want to fight this dragon. He could beat you up and destroy you without intentionally doing it, and he would never know the difference. One time when he was summoned, he swallowed a whole planet. He's not only the strongest dragon, but he's also one of the strongest beings ever. Sure, when you look at the Grand Priest, you don't get scared immediately. He's a short little dude with weird teal skin and bright white hair. He looks more like a rejected Oompa Loompa than a serious being of immense power. But this little guy is actually one of the strongest beings in the entire multiverse. Yeah, that's right. Not just the strongest in a single universe, but in all of the universes, the Grand Priest is a serious contender for Power King, which is the title I just made up. We already know that the Grand Priest is almost all-powerful, but our tiny minds probably couldn't comprehend just how powerful the angel actually is. I'm pretty sure if we were exposed to even the tiniest sliver of Grand Priest's true power, every molecule in our body would be destroyed, recreated, and then destroyed again. Actually, yeah, I take back all the mean things I said about him at the beginning of this. I'm afraid that even though he's an anime character, he's still powerful enough to cross over to our world and take me out. So do I even have to say this? Grand Priest is the most powerful angel of the angel race. Demons are just a pain, right? You're just out trying to have a perfectly normal day when all of a sudden a super powerful demon shows up out of nowhere and starts wreaking havoc. So yeah, throughout the Dragon Ball franchise, there have been a lot of troublesome demons, but the most powerful member of the demon race is Mechikabura, aka the Demon King. Now, at first, the Demon King is nothing special. He's just an old wrinkly demon. But after crossing paths with the Dark Dragon Balls, he's able to regain his youth and cause a lot of trouble for our heroes. And even though they tried to throw him into the time labyrinth, he was able to escape and become even stronger. On top of being super duper strong, he's also got one of the best capes in all of Dragon Ball, which sure shouldn't be a deciding factor in determining the strongest being of each race, but I'm just saying, the cape leaves an impression. No other demon has posed as much of a threat as this guy has, and his abilities, like his perfect state as well as being able to take on the time power unleashed state, definitely makes him the top demon, regardless if he's canon or not. When there's a mortal that even a god of destruction can't defeat, then you should definitely be afraid. That's the case with Jiren, the mysterious protector of Universe 11 who can successfully beat down both Goku and Vegeta at the same time. Not a lot is known about the bug-eyed alien or his race, but after he was introduced in the Tournament of Power arc, it was clear that Jiren was one of the most powerful mortals in the multiverse. Like, we know that he most likely should have been a god of destruction, but he passed on the job, which maybe was a good thing overall? It's hard to say, but from what we've seen of Jiren, we know that he's an honorable fighter who believes in justice. So we should just count ourselves lucky that he falls on more the side of good than evil. If he ever went rogue, the whole multiverse might be in serious trouble. And yes, I know we haven't met any other of Jiren's race officially yet, but Jiren is already one of the strongest mortals in the multiverse, so I'm just making an educated guess that he's probably the strongest of his people. I think the core people are a little strange. They're the true race all Kai and Supreme Kai come from before being given their respective roles. Their origins are a little funny as they're born from magical fruits. which isn't really important to the point I'm making, but thought that you'd all like to know it. The strongest of the core people is the Grand Supreme Kai, who, as the name suggests, is the highest of all Supreme Kais that actually ruled over the entire Universe 7 before the series officially started. Like, even though he's a peace-loving food junkie, he's still incredibly powerful. Millions of years ago, he had to give up a lot of his godly power to seal away the evil Moro's magic, which caused some serious problems for him later. When Majin Buu came a-knockin', it wasn't long before Buu absorbed the Grand Supreme Kai and took on his general shape and size. It was a shame because I feel like if it was any other villain besides Buu and the Grand Supreme Kai was working at full power, things would have been really different. On the plus side, his general presence within Buu made him less dangerous to our heroes, for a time, which was helpful. I still can't get over how powerful something like Super Shenron actually is. What about you guys? Who do you think is the strongest overall Dragon Ball character? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that old subscribe button for more awesome Dragon Ball content. As always, thanks a whole bunch for watching.